Joining us now is the Democratic nominee, Zohran Mamdani. Thank you so much for being here.
Such a pleasure to be here.
So I want to first get your take on the big news this week. Mayor Eric Adams endorsing former Governor Andrew Cuomo. They're going to be out campaigning together. What's the reaction?
Look, it's the art of the deal, right? We had President Trump had his chosen mayor in Eric Adams, and now he has his chosen successor in Andrew Cuomo. And Eric Adams just a few weeks ago told us that Andrew Cuomo was a liar and a snake. And here he is endorsing him to be the next mayor of the city. And I think it shows what we've been saying now for more than a year in this race, which is that Eric Adams' record is Andrew Cuomo's agenda. Andrew Cuomo looks at a record of Adams raising the rent by more than 12% for 2 million New Yorkers, of supporting Con Ed when they wanted to increase gas and electric by $65 a month, increasing the water bill, highest it's been in 13 years, and says, that's what I want to do. I want to price working class New Yorkers out of this city.
So we're going to get to our series of policy questions, and we're asking all the candidates to be as concise as possible so we can get through a lot of topics. So let's start with your main platform, affordability. Everyone knows you want to freeze the rent, free buses, free childcare. But when it comes to the first 100 days of your administration, what's something that you think you're going to be able to do to make life more affordable for New Yorkers?
And the first thing is putting together my rent guidelines board, which is a board that determines the rent increase or lack thereof for the more than 2 million New Yorkers who live in rent-stabilized housing. And this current mayor has taken those 9 appointees that he has, and he has used it to increase the rent every single year that he's been the mayor. This is a key part because for New Yorkers, the number one crisis of affordability is that of housing. They feel it every single day. And the second thing is actually to make government work again. I've heard from many New Yorkers who have a real fatigue with the fact that every day they get up, they give it their all, and they look at City Hall, and it doesn't seem to be the same kind of commitment. And even just the other day, I was doing a press conference with parents and their young babies and speaking about the fact that we could spend the same amount of money that Andrew Cuomo, who's apparently too afraid to come on your show, spent on defending himself from credible accusations of sexual harassment, $20 million, to provide a baby basket to every single baby born in this city. That's something that we can do, and we can do that in the first year of being in office.
When it comes to your free bus program, how are you going to ensure that it doesn't become just a rolling shelter for homeless people? I know you said during your pilot program you guys didn't have an issue with homelessness, but how are you going to make sure of that?
Well, I think the clear thing is we look at the actual precedent. And when we were fighting to make buses free in Albany 2 years ago, this was a concern then. And we pointed to the examples in other cities across the country where we hadn't seen an increase in homelessness on buses because of the removal of the fare. And then, as you said, when we won 5 fare-free routes across New York City, there was no increase then. And what we've actually found time and again is this actually increases ridership, it provides economic relief, and it actually provides public safety benefits. Because what you'll hear from bus drivers is that a significant portion of the assaults that they face is due to the presence of the fare box. And when we removed the fare, we saw a 38.9% decrease in assaults, a safer ride, a faster ride, and a ride that actually helps more New Yorkers.
But for people who take advantage of the system, what are you going to put specifically in the law to make sure that they can?
Take advantage of the system.
Of the free buses, wanting to take it maybe forever.
You know, I think there's no problem with New Yorkers taking the bus wherever they want to go. I think what we actually need to have is a bus that's worth taking. Because right now what we have is more than 1 million New Yorkers who ride the bus. They're riding the slowest buses in the country. These are buses that are traveling at an average speed of 8 miles an hour. And we've known the ways in which we can speed it up. But Eric Adams has been taking too many calls from his largest donors to actually follow through on a lot of these busways and bus lanes. The MTA said decades ago, all-door boarding would speed up the boarding and exiting of the bus. They still haven't implemented it because of concerns around fare collection. Now we would be able to deliver that.
Andrew Cuomo has said this election is between capitalism and socialism, and he's used free buses as an example. And he wants to expand the social safety net so more low-income New Yorkers can ride the bus. But why do you disagree with that?
Well, I think what we've seen from Andrew Cuomo is that there's very little that he's consistent about beyond his own pursuit for power. In the primary, he said that he was supportive in exploring free buses. Then he got beat by a guy who wants to make buses free, and now he doesn't support it anymore. And what we've seen is his approach is speaking about fair fares. I support fair fares. I think we should increase the eligibility. But also when you ask the MTA, they say that success for fair fares would be 50% of those eligible using it. When you make the bus free at point of service, you find 100% of people who are eligible will actually be able to use it. And so when we made those 5 routes free, we found that, a significant portion were eligible for fair fares. Less than 20% were enrolled. And that's because you're asking working class New Yorkers to trust the same bureaucracy, go through the same processes that have failed them time and again.
On housing, you want to freeze the rent on rent-stabilized apartments, but that only affects around a quarter of the housing stock in New York City. So if elected, how are you going to make housing more affordable for middle-income New Yorkers?
I think there's a number of things. The first is we have to build an immense amount more housing. The private sector needs to build more. The public sector also needs to build more. And I think the public sector has to build immediately affordable housing. Because you and I know when you say affordable housing in New York City, it doesn't mean that much anymore. But what I mean by it is the median household income of a New Yorker. It's a family of four making $70K a year. We should be building housing for them. And that's going to be one of my responsibilities. The other piece here is a significant number of New Yorkers have fulfilled their dream of becoming homeowners, but it's becoming so difficult to keep that home. There are a number of things we have to do to make it easier. One of them is finally taking on the broken property tax system. This is a mayor right now. He said he'd do so in the first 100 days. He did not. He actually lost in court time and time again defending this system. I believe we have to finally bring some sense of rationality to the way in which we tax homeowners, because today you'll have somebody who bought an apartment at 220 Central Park for more than $228 million. Department of Finance assesses its value as less than $10 million. And yet somebody who has a moderately priced condo or co-op is then going to be paying comparative taxes to one of the most expensive apartments in the United States of America.
And former Council Minority Leader Joe Borelli actually agrees with you, Republican actually agrees with you on that tax plan.
Thank you, Joe.
There are 3 ballot propositions this year that do deal with housing. You said during the debate you're still discussing with stakeholders. Have you decided where you're going to vote on these 3 housing proposals, 2, 3, and 4? Are you just not sharing, where you stand?
No, I'm always looking to be honest with New Yorkers, and that's why I'm being very clear that I haven't yet made a decision on it, but it is a decision I'll take before voting, and I'll be sharing that with the public.
On education, in the first 100 days of a Mamdani administration, what's something new that you're going to bring to schools that parents are going to see the impact of immediately?
One of the clear things is hiring more teachers. What I hear right now from parents and students and even teachers across the school system is just how much we are missing the number of teachers we need. I'm proud to have helped pass the class size mandate in Albany. That reduces class sizes for children from kindergarten to 12th grade. And yet we need to hire 7,000 to 9,000 more teachers to fulfill that. So we've put forward a proposal called Community to Classroom, which will both provide a pathway for high school seniors to become public school teachers. We'll pay for their tuition if they commit 3 years to being a public school teacher. And for adults who want to switch tracks, this will hire 1,000 more teachers a year. We'll start to see that in the first year.
Do you have anyone on your short list yet about who you might pick for your school's chancellor?
Not as yet, but I know that when I do, I'll be on Politics Unusual.
Perfect. I'm going to hold you to it. No. On public safety, you want to keep Jessica Tisch as police commissioner. That was the big news this week. You got praise from the governor. You got praise from the business leaders, business community. Have you spoken with her yet directly about this position, and how did she react?
I've spoken with the commissioner in public. I also had a private phone call with her after the murder of Detective Didarul Islam. And she's said time and time again she's focused on the job at hand whenever she's asked about this, and I respect that. And that's part of the reason why I've made the decision is her focus on actually delivering on this. Because when she came into the NYPD, Mayor Adams had stacked the upper echelons of that department with corruption and incompetence. She took on that broken status quo, started to deliver accountability, root out corruption, and reduce crime across 5 boroughs. And to me, that's exactly the kind of results we would build on under a Mamdani administration. And I've said time and again, it's excellence that I would make my assessments of who to keep and who to hire, and it's the outcome of the work that they're doing, and we've seen that with the commissioner. I look forward to building that.
You guys do have different ideology at times, though. She wants to get rid of bail reform, for example. You support bail reform. She wants to get rid of the NYPD Strategic Response Group, which deals with protests. You want to get rid of it. Do you feel that you're going to maybe compromise on some of these issues?
No, this is a decision that I've made to further the agenda I've run on, not to compromise that agenda. And I'm confident that in retaining her, it also means that we deliver the Department of Community Safety. It also means that we deliver a police response to protests that is not being done by the Strategic Response Group. And I'm confident in our ability to deliver safety and justice for New Yorkers, and frankly, to deliver what will be the cornerstone of actually achieving our affordability agenda.
In your first 100 days, how are you going to make the average New Yorker feel safe as they walk to the subway, quality of life? How are you going to make sure that just your normal person going to work is going to feel safer?
One thing I've heard from New Yorkers about safety is their concern about response times. In 2020, police response times were under 11 minutes. Today, it's closer to 16 minutes. And part of that is because those same officers who used to sign up to join the force to take on serious crimes are now being asked to deal with the mental health crisis. And so one of the key ways that I will make New Yorkers feel that safety is by having officers be able to focus on serious crimes and having a Department of Community Safety that will respond to the mental health crisis and homelessness. Because so often when you ask New Yorkers, where do you feel least safe, they'll tell you the subway system. And when you ask them for examples, they'll tell you examples of these crises. And we haven't had a response under Mayor Adams. We haven't had a response, frankly, even when Governor Cuomo was leading the state, that would actually respond to the crisis at hand. That's what we're going to do, bring a state-of-the-art approach to reducing crime, addressing these systemic issues, and delivering for New Yorkers.
For these mental health professionals, where are you going to find them?
We are going to actually hire them at job payment levels that are worth taking. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we don't recognize the difficulty of these jobs. We don't recognize the kind of caliber of individuals we need to be doing this work and actually recognize the work that they are doing and how critical it is for this city. So to me, it's, are you actually willing to set up a department and pay people what they're worth? And then you will see so many more people who are interested in doing this work, and especially seeing that this has been done successfully elsewhere in the country, it's time to bring it here.
You have a big Get Out the Vote rally this weekend with Congresswoman AOC, Senator Bernie Sanders. Tell us more about it.
You know, we're very excited. It'll be in Forest Hill Stadium, and we'll have more than 13,000 New Yorkers for the largest rally of this entire campaign cycle. And the rally is called New York is Not for Sale. And that's because throughout this election, we've seen so many billionaires spend millions of dollars trying to defeat this campaign. And despite what Andrew Cuomo says, they're not doing it because they're afraid that I won't deliver on my agenda. They're doing it because they're afraid that I will. They're afraid that I'll break the power of bad landlords, of corrupt politicians, and the billionaires who fund them. And on this one point, they're right. That's exactly what we're going to do. And this rally will show not only the New York that we're fighting to keep, but also the New York that New Yorkers will deliver themselves, because so many of those in the crowd will be knocking on doors because we now have more than 90,000 volunteers in our campaign.
Can we expect House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to be there?
I can't make any predictions, but I can tell you that the people that I'm very excited to have on that stage will be Congressman Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Bernie Sanders, and I look forward to working with Congressman Jeffries in the weeks, months, and years to come on delivering the affordability agenda.
Perfect. And really fast, at the last question here, we also asked this of courtesy as well. We've got a political trick-or-treat here in the spirit of Halloween.
Let's do it.
Something to get to know you a little bit better. Go ahead and pick a question.
Here we go. What's my favorite parade?
You're on the spot. You got to pick, too.
Okay, I think one of the parades I had the most fun at was the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Okay.
It was a great time. It was a great float.
We ran after you for, I think, a mile trying to get some sound, but no, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Puerto Rico no se vende.